Peace, love, and happy ascension to the cosmic crew. You already know what to do. It's your boy, Tweakosis, back with that drop. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 7 chakras and the 7 deadly sins, right? It's all about free will, because pretty much they use your emotions against you to get you to go outside of yourself to end up in a bad position so that they can control you, okay? Let's get straight into it. Before we actually get into the main topic of the video, we must understand what a chakra is and what a sin is. So a chakra is an energy center in your body, and you have 7 of them, right? And in ancient Indian cultures, they depict that energy as the Kundalini dragon or the serpent. And pretty much it's just this energetic snake at the base of your spine that rises up in energy as you discipline and tighten up your energy centers, right? It's kind of like water pipes. If all your water pipes are leaky, then the water pressure is going to be low. But if you tighten all your pipes, then the water pressure is going to be high. You're going to reach a higher state of enlightenment, and you'll be in a sense of godhood within yourself, right? So now that we know what a chakra is, let's talk about what a sin is, right? So to start off, we were born in the blood of chaos. And in biblical translations, that's born natural sinners. But it isn't inherently bad as long as you don't play ignorant by the fact, right? Pretty much, it's like chaos. Chaos has to be turned into structure in order for power to really be harnessed. Because without power being harnessed, it's just chaos. You can have fire and electricity. If you leave them unharnessed, it could burn everything, it could fry everything, it could destroy everything. If you harness this power, it could be used to warm you. You can use it to cook. You can use it to defend yourself. You can use it for a lot of beneficial ways, right? But a sin really is, as I said, it's that undisciplined chaos within yourself. It's your nature. We're born with vices and these different stimuli and urges, like for things that we think we want that we don't really need, right? So now that we understand what a chakra and a sin is, let's get straight into the actual topic of the video of chakras versus sins, or chakras and sins, right? So you have the chakra and you have the sin. At base form, you have root chakra. And at base form, you have greed, right? Root chakra, you have to discipline the root chakra before you can discipline any other energy center, because ultimately you have to stay rooted within yourself to ascend anything. That's the ultimate principle of the root chakra. The root chakra is the ultimate chakra that you have to discipline. After that, you can ascend everything else, right? It's all the same principle. Same with on the flip side. Greed can keep you at your lowest state. It is the strongest sin. It's not the worst sin necessarily, but it is the strongest one in a way that all sin stem from greed ultimately, right? Greed causes you to step outside of yourself for something that you want, but that you don't need. And that can often put you in a bad position, right? And I'm gonna talk about that a little more as we go deeper into this whole video, right? So with all that being said, let's go into the next one. You got sacral chakra and you have lust. The sacral chakra deals with the sacred nature of your genitalia. It is the fountain of life, right? Either you can give it or you can take it. Either way, it needs to be reciprocal in a way that you both actually get something. Because if you don't, then it's lopsided. Either you will be taking in someone's energy, leaving them depleted, or you will be giving away your energy, leaving yourself depleted. And that's not real love, right? It's a selfishness. That goes back into greed, right? And pretty much with lust, I mean, that's pretty much what lust is. Lust is the greed of that sacred genitalia, okay? If you watch too much porn and you masturbating all the time, then, you know, you're constantly flushing out your fountain of life, right? And when you flush out your fountain of life, then that's less life that you have retained. So you're going to have less motivation, you're going to have less energy, you're going to have less focus, you're going to have brain fog, right? And that's because you've depleted yourself of these hormones within your brain that you actually need to actually stay focused and like have optimized mind frame. And if you have sex with too many people, you know, you don't know who you're having sex with, right? You could unintentionally be inviting demons and other bad things into your body, such as STDs, right? Because, how do I say it? You wouldn't use someone else's toothbrush. You wouldn't use someone else's bar soap. You for damn sure wouldn't wipe your ass with someone else's wipe. So why are you having sex with someone else that just had sex with somebody else? You don't know what they just did. You don't know what they just did. Or even if you do, why you want to go after that? You know what I'm saying? It's an impurity. It can leave you contaminated. Lust can get you to go outside of yourself in so many ways to get hurt. You could want to have sex with somebody and you could pull up. Whole time they about to backdoor you. You go up in there, you think about it be cool. Next thing you know, a whole group of people coming out there with guns and they about to rob you, beat you up, or kill you, right? All because you wanted something outside of yourself that you did not need, which was lust, right? So you have to be disciplined within your sacral chakra to, one, reach a higher state of enlightenment, two, to protect yourself, right? So let's go on to the next one, which leads us into the solar plexus. The solar plexus is located in the gut region. And it's the reason why they say that the gut is the second brain, is because the gut contains these things called neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters tell your brain how to feel after you eat something, right? It's like that old saying, right? You are what you eat. And for example, let's say if you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and clean meats, then that's how you're going to be. You're going to feel healthier. You're going to feel sharper. You're going to feel cleaner. You're going to be lean, right? If you eat empty calories, right, like biscuits, bagels, donuts, cakes, ice creams, candy, they got a lot of calories, but they don't have no nutrients in them. And if you overconsume those, that's pretty much how you will be within yourself. You'll have a lot of extra energy, which is fat, but you won't have no energy behind them. You're most likely going to be tired and weak and all kinds of stuff, right? So it's all about finding that balance, right? Because it's ultimately like this with the chakras. It's about what you need, and with the sins, it's about what you want and don't need, but you still go outside yourself for it, right? And that's how it's always going to be with this duality of chakra and sin, right? So even for another example, consumption, alcohol, for example. If you overly consume alcohol, which is a depressant, you're going to become depressed, right? That's just how that goes. If you're smoking cigarettes, which has nicotine, and nicotine spikes your cortisol, which is your stress hormones. If you constantly smoking stress, that's all you gonna be is stress. So it's like, it's all about consumption. And it's not even about just physical consumption, but all ultimate consumption. Because if you consume hate speech and negative, like music all the time, and movie plots and stuff, it could cloud your subconscious with a lot of grime and corruption, right? And you have to be careful of what you eat, right? What you eat isn't just off the rip gonna control you, but if you control what you eat, then you control what you eat. If you don't control what you eat, then what you eat controls you, right? And that's just the principles of consumption with anything. And the next one on the list is the heart chakra, right? So the heart chakra pretty much deals with loving yourself, right? You have to love yourself in order to love somebody else, right? And that's the ultimate thing, right? If you can't love yourself, you can't love anyone else. For example, if you don't have love for yourself, then you're always going to compare yourself to other people. And that's an unhealthy mindset. That's what develops into the sin, envy. Envy is a disgusting sin because it causes you to look down upon yourself by comparing yourself with other people, right? And it's all about what's in us. It's not about what's on us. So while you being surface level, looking at what other people got and everything, and you feel like, oh, I hate these people because they got it and I don't, you really need to look into yourself and figure out why you hate yourself enough to where you ain't progressing in your life. You know what I'm saying? Because it comes to a certain point where you really got to look within yourself and figure out why you feel the way you feel and why things is happening the way they happen. Yes, life do play cards. Life comes with different cards, right? And not everybody gets the same cards, but you got to play your card regardless. You got to, like, it just is what it is. Take it with a grain of salt. Love yourself, you can love the next person. If you don't love yourself, you can't love the next person, right? So next on the list, you have the throat chakra and you have wrath, right? And we must understand that there is both life and death in the tongue, right? You have to be a man of your word. When you are a man of your word and you speak truthfully, that gives your word power and authority, right? When you lack the throat chakra and you try to, get something off, then there's going to be a lot of difficulty because you haven't really exercised your tool of expression, right? Because that's what the throat chakra is all really about. And this goes in both ways, right? Either you don't really know how to say what you really want to say, or you say something that you probably should not have said. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be able to read the room and know when to say certain things and know why you should say certain things. Because you might know a few people that talk kind of loose, like y'all might talk kind of crazy to each other, but y'all know that it's not that serious. You can't take that same dialect and bring to someone who doesn't know you, because then they're going to think that you're a piece of shit. And the whole time you didn't really mean anything by it, right? So you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of the lack of authority in people's voice when they tell you something that's serious, because most of the time they're probably bullshitting you. They're probably lying. They're probably trying to set you up or anything of that sort, right? Because when you have something that comes from the heart, which is right under the throat chakra, then it should come out authentically. It should flow out of you. It should come out. Of course, there's going to be like different speech impediments or brain fog moments and stuff like that, but the ultimate message should be able to come out clear, right? And that's how you can catch a lot of people being snakes in the grass. Just talk to them and let them talk and listen. You're gonna hear the slither in their speech, I promise you. So like I said, there is life and death in the tongue. When it comes to raising something or someone, you want to use your voice to uplift them. You don't want to use it to destroy them or dominate them, right? Because those are like two spectrums. And that's why the sin version of the throat chakra is wrath, because you could say things that you really don't mean. You could really get into arguments that end your life, right? When the whole time you could have just been quiet and just let it just pass, right? You know, if you don't have control of your wrath, you could say things that'll scar somebody for a really long time. For example, you could have a child and the kid might do something that irritates you, but you might say something bizarre. And that kid might remember that for a long time and think, dang, like this person really said that whole time. You probably don't think it's that serious, but you know, that's all they know. They're new to the world, that they're going to think, you know, that you were serious, or vice. You know, it doesn't have to be a kid, but it's that same principle. You just have to be aware and be careful of what you're doing, and be aware of other people too, right? You could accidentally slip up and say something that ends up getting you killed. You can say something that ends up getting you a great deal and you get a lavish lifestyle after it, right? You just gotta understand the principle of the throat chakra and the sin of wrath. Usually, like in the ancient Buddhist scriptures or whatnot, they would say if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. And it's that simple, right? The loudest one in the room is usually the weakest one. The one that is quiet and observes everything is usually the most dangerous. Darkness is the truth, and it creates the light. So you have to use your darkness to understand how to use your light, if that makes sense, right? So with that being said, let's go on to the next one. So for the next chakra and sin, we have the pineal gland or the third eye, right? And the opposite of that will be sloth, right? Which is the sin. And pretty much with the third eye chakra, this is about self-awareness, right? If you've come up this far, then you should have a really great level of self-awareness in the things that you do. This is where you actually get your free will capabilities at, right? Everybody has free will, but this is like the real free will, because you know the different stimuli going on outside of the world that's trying to get inside of you, and you know what you actually feel within, right? You're able to see through the deceptions, the illusions, the manipulation. You're able to see the truth for what it is, and you're able to see weakness in other people, and you're able to give them strength or to stay away from them, depending on the context of the situation, right? And the opposite of that will be sloth, right? Sloth is a sin because while you could be all-knowing, you still don't do anything. You could know something is right to do, but yet you still don't do it, which ultimately means you're being ignorant to the fact. And ignorance is the enemy of, how do I say? Ignorance is the enemy to productivity and growth. Because, you know, when the responsibility is calling the phone and you're just letting it ring and ring, you know, the weight on your shoulders getting heavier and heavier is going to make you collapse, because that's a key indication that you're not staying rooted in your root chakra, because all buildings without a foundation will collapse, right? Or at least without a proper foundation will collapse. So you have to answer that phone. You got to rip the Band-Aid off and let that shit heal, because if you don't, it's going to stay soft. It's going to stay soft and squishy, right? And that kind of defeats the purpose of even having the Band-Aid on in the first place. Because say if you got hurt and you put the Band-Aid on, it's supposed to only be there for temporary reasons, right? So you don't get infected. You take the Band-Aid off so it can heal, right? That's why you put the Band-Aid on, is so it can heal. But if you just keep it on there, it's not going to heal properly if you don't take it off and let it breathe. And that's the same situation with responsibility in life. You can't let that shit pile up, or that shit is going to bite you in the ass and it's going to collapse everything, right? So you gotta have will behind your knowledge. You can't just have knowledge and sit on it like a library. You can't do that, right? You have to take the initiative. Another thing about the third eye is that you have to go within yourself to find the light, right? You have to go within the darkness to give birth to the light, right? And pretty much the third eye literally has rods and cones, just like our eyeballs. Our eyeballs have rods and cones so that it can see lights and colors and perceive image, right? Now, why would the pineal gland have rods and cones if it can't receive light on the outside like these ones can, right? Well, really, it's because you have to close your eyes, go within yourself, and ignite the flame like a candle and pave your way, right? That's how you'll really see. Because within the pineal gland, there's a secretion called dimethyltryptamine, or abbreviated DMT. And DMT is released in your brain at birth, death, and at near-death experience, or if you take psychedelic substances, right? And pretty much, if you ever experience anything like this, then you will realize that the darkness was never dark in the beginning, right? It's the canvas in which the light can exist, right? Because without darkness, there is no light, right? You have to literally consume yourself like a star to emit your own light, right? All right, now last but not least, you got the crown chakra and you have pride, right? The crown chakra and the root chakra is low-key one and the same, because you can't reach the crown chakra without being fully disciplined in your root chakra. And you can't really be fully disciplined in your root chakra if you haven't reached your crown chakra, right? Because it is a journey, but ultimately it's the beginning and the end with the same principle, right? That's why I say darkness is the beginning and the end, and light is in between. Light is the journey. Light is where you have to figure out what's real and what's not, right? And the equivalent of the crown in a sinful way would be pride, because pride ultimately comes from greed, and greed ultimately comes with pride, right? Because you could have greed, but to actually act out on that greed, you got to have pride, right? And that's with every other sin, like with lust, right? You could want to have sexual intercourses or whatever because, you're greeding for the lust, but to go and actually go out there and take action in doing it in a hedonistic fashion, that's pride, because you're like, okay, I know this is wrong. I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm still do it because I want to. And that's the whole phrase. I want to, not that you need to. Once again, possibly putting you in a bad position that you didn't need to be in because you wanted to go and get something that you didn't need, right? It's like, how do I say? All right, like for another example, right? Let's say if you have a mouse trap with a little piece of cheese and you rest it in a strawberry field, and the little mouse walking around the strawberry field, he has all the strawberries in the world that he could ever need, right? But because he smells this cheese and is unique to him and he's never seen it before, he's going to actually go out his way to avoid all these strawberries. That would give him the same satisfaction to go and get that cheese. But once he goes to get that cheese, he gets snapped by the rat trap and it's over with. How did he end up in that predicament? Because he let his greed override what he needed. And his pride got to him to say, I don't need this. I want that. So let me go for this. When the whole time he should have just stayed with what was good, right? So with all that being said, in this video, I'm going to just end it off like this, right? I feel like ultimately, we've been blessed with the things that we need. right? Or at least the recognition for the things that we need. And we need to go even further within ourselves to dissect what we want from what we need so that we don't fall into sin, right? And stay within discipline, because discipline is the real self-love, right? If you're going to allow yourself to be a fucking slop, then, you don't really love yourself. You kind of hate yourself, right? But if you really love yourself, then you're going to actually nurture yourself. So the first step to nurturing yourself is to get the knowledge, right? Get the knowledge and then take action. That's the whole way of it. So this is my way of helping you. My way of helping me is like keeping an open library of just some knowledge that I know, to help the next person out. Because, I ultimately believe, like that Michael Jackson song, if you want to make the world a better place, just look in yourself and make that change. We got to help each other look within ourselves to make that change so that we can change this world into what we know that we can make it, right? We got well enough technology to do it. We got well enough intelligence, and we got for damn sure enough people to do it. We all just need to network this collective knowledge, pretty much, and do better with ourselves. And with that, we can make the world a better place, truly. So that was that. In the next video, we're going to be talking about fallen angels, how they became to be and what their purpose is, and how you can stay away or stay strong against their agendas. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, love, and happy ascension to the Cosmic Crew. You already know what it was. You already know what it do. It's your boy Tweakosis, and I'm out.